All right, let's start with some breaking inputs which are just coming in from Washington, where the U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has said that the U.S. is ready for talks with North Korea without any preconditions. Now, adding that the U.S. will continue its efforts until the first bomb drops. Rex Tillerson was speaking on the crisis at the Atlantic Council Policy Forum in Washington. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
We've said from the diplomatic side, we're ready to talk anytime North Korea would like to talk. And we're ready to have the first meeting without precondition. Let's just meet. And we can talk about the weather if you want. We can talk about whether it's going to be a square table or a round table if that's what you're excited about. But can we at least sit down and see each other face to face? Most recent intercontinental ballistic missile test, I think, demonstrates they certainly have capability to continue to advance their program, and we would expect they're doing the same on other elements of an integrated nuclear weapons system. As I've told people many times, I will continue our diplomatic efforts until the first bomb drops.
That is what he had to say in the case of North Korea. Now, Tillerson has also said that he's confident in the North Korean talks plan. He said that Washington is doing all it can to force North Korea to negotiate its nuclear disarmament. But even as he vowed to pursue his diplomatic strategy until the first bomb drops, he's also warned that the U.S. military stands ready to act if necessary. And he also added that if diplomacy and sanctions fail and the fighting erupts, it will have been a personal failure of his efforts to resolve the crisis. All right, now for more on this, we are joined in by our correspondent who's tracking all the details live for us from Chicago, Andy Rosgen. You know, it's a very interesting sort of a statement that Rex Tillerson has made, considering what is happening within the White House, where Donald Trump has taken a hard stance against North Korea. He has a certain approach that is all about rhetoric and bluster. And here we have Rex Tillerson, who may also, in fact, be on his way out from the White House, you know, who's in fact still advocating policy. He says that diplomacy must have a chance till the first bomb drops. Your take on this?
Well, it's interesting because for years and years and years, if a Secretary of State in the United States made an announcement like what Rex Tillerson did today, it would be assumed then that this would be definitely the cohesive approach of the White House and the entire presidential administration. But these days, we simply don't know. So often, Rex Tillerson has said one thing, but President Trump himself has said something almost completely contradictory. So we don't know if the Trump administration, if President Trump himself, is all in with this approach by Rex Tillerson.
And also considering the fact that Rex Tillerson is still confident that diplomacy can work, is that the general perception within the United States administration there? Or is it the approach of Donald Trump, you know, who with his diplomatic forays have been, if anything, has been worsening situations across the world? So especially in the case of North Korea, do they think that diplomacy can have a chance so long as Donald Trump is the man in charge in the White House?
Well, just recently, Trump put out a tweet, I think it was just a few days ago, referring to the North Korea leadership as vile. So, yes, it does sort of contradict what Rex Tillerson is trying to do. But Tillerson made it clear today that President Trump is in agreement with the basic tenet that North Korea is not going to give up its nuclear weapons, which was always a precondition for years and years and years. They have finally hit reality now. The reality is that North Korea has these nuclear weapons and they aren't going to give them up. And Tillerson says, yes, President Trump agrees with that notion.
Absolutely, indeed. Do continue to stay on to this because Rex Tillerson had a lot to, in fact, say. He also spoke extensively about Pakistan, where he's taken a sharp jab at Pakistan during his address to the Atlantic Council Forum in Washington. He declared that the US-Pak relations have been deteriorating over the past decade. He also has warned Pakistan that it could actually lose control over its own country. Let's first listen in to what Rex Tillerson had to say about Pakistan.
An important part of the regional approach is our relationship with Pakistan. The U.S. and Pakistan have had a long history of good relations, but that relationship has really deteriorated over the past decade. And so now we're engaged with Pakistan in a conversation to ensure our expectations of them are clear, that our concern is really about Pakistan's stability. Pakistan has allowed so many terrorist organizations to find safe haven within its territories, and these organizations are growing in size and influence, that at some point I have said to the leadership of Pakistan, you may be the target. We want to work with Pakistan to stamp out terrorism within their boundaries as well, but Pakistan has to begin the process of changing its relationship with the Haqqani network and with others. I understand that this is a relationship that has emerged, probably for, in their view, good reasons a decade ago, but now that relationship has to be altered, because if they're not careful, Pakistan is going to lose control of their own country.
All right, some very strong words there by Rex Tillerson in the context of Pakistan. Andy, let me come back to you on this. Do you think, on the issue of Pakistan, at least Rex Tillerson and Donald Trump actually have pretty much the same line? We saw what Donald Trump, in fact, had to say in the case of his South Asia policy review in the context of Afghanistan, where he said that, look, Pakistan needs to ensure that terror havens do not get a place on its soil. So how is the US-Pakistan relationship going, especially under Trump now?
Yes, on this, they are in agreement. The Trump administration, President Trump himself and Rex Tillerson are in agreement. They have long been criticizing Pakistan for allowing these terrorists to sort of run amok in Afghanistan. They've been threatening them with economic sanctions. And I must say, Rex Tillerson said again today, he said, look, Pakistan, today terrorists are going after Kabul. Tomorrow, they could be going after Islamabad. Those same terrorists in your nation now. So they've really been trying to hammer home the point that it's Pakistan itself that could be in danger here by not going after these terrorists, because Pakistan itself could become a victim of the terrorists.
Right, but in this case, there is a contradiction, especially what is happening in South Asia. If you look at what the United States approach is, they've delinked the Haqqani network, which operates predominantly in Afghanistan, with the activities of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. So immediately what we saw is that Hafiz Saeed, who had been under house arrest in Pakistan, was immediately released after that delinkage by the United States. So is there a bit of a confusion within the United States that it'll focus more on the terror activities within Afghanistan and not the one which Pakistan foments in the Kashmir Valley?
Well, you're getting a little bit into the weeds there on that particular topic. For the Trump administration and Rex Tillerson, they made no mention of this at times contradictory appearance in their dealings with Pakistan, but they've both been lockstep in just simply painting a broad picture here, saying that Pakistan has to just simply do more in combating terrorists. Rex Tillerson did not get as detailed as you just pointed out there in his remarks today.
No, that is correct, because the headlines is this, that it wants Pakistan to, in fact, crack down on terror, but it's not all terror, because there is a bit of a distinction which the United States has been drawing. So do you think the United States wants to ensure that Pakistan, which gets $46 billion in terms of military aid, does indeed crack down on all terrorists? Or is there a certain kind of, trying to get into a comfortable position? They're trying to sort out the issues in Afghanistan. And so long as Pakistan cooperates with the United States in Afghanistan, they're willing to work with Pakistan.
On that particular note, Rex Tillerson did not tip his hand today. And all I can tell you from what I've been seeing here in America is that Rex Tillerson and the president have been together in saying that if Pakistan doesn't do more to crack down on terrorists, then lots of money in aid could be in question towards Pakistan. And that's basically the broad strokes they paint.
Right, fair enough. Do continue to stay on to this, Andy Rosgen. Meanwhile, he's also spoken about other things as well. So United States top diplomat Rex Tillerson spoke about India during his speech at the Atlantic Council Forum in Washington. He spoke of the increased engagement between India and the United States, and then also highly spoke about India's booming economy. Let's listen in to what Rex Tillerson had to say about India's economy.
So a free and open Indo-Pacific means all countries have access to continue their economic development and free access for trade through the region. As part of the free and open Indo-Pacific, we have elevated our engagement with India. We've long had a trilateral relationship in the Indo-Pacific between Japan, Australia, and the U.S. And we're now working towards whether this will become a Quad relationship to include India because of the importance of India's rising economy as well, and I think shared national security concerns that we have with India.
So there were two significant things which Rex Tillerson in fact mentioned. He spoke of India's booming economy, and he also spoke of a strategic sort of an alliance of not just a triad but a Quad, which is in some ways, some are speculating, an answer which the United States intends to come up with to China's very ambitious O-Board project. Andy, your take on this. What sort of a relationship does the United States envision with India? How significant a partner do you think United States wishes India to be?
Well, this would be a huge strengthening of those relationships between the two countries because, as you heard the Secretary of State mention, it's been a very strong triple alliance over many years between Japan, Australia, and the United States. Having India join that alliance really signifies the U.S.'s belief that India is a very strong economic partner, trading partner, and recognizes its military might. And also, part of this comes from the U.S.'s frustration over China. Now, Rex Tillerson basically said that the relationship with China is fairly good. It's moving in a positive direction. But he mentioned in particular he is not happy with China's military buildup in the South China Sea. And joining this alliance between the U.S., Australia, Japan, and what would be India would be a way of making it clear to the Chinese that, hey, we've got to keep the South Pacific region open for fair and free trade.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Andy Rosgen, for joining us with that perspective from Chicago there. Interesting times ahead, considering what Rex Tillerson has been saying about the region in particular, and also about the manner in which the United States intends to, of course, carry forth with its diplomacy. It now remains to be seen as to which of the views within the U.S. administration actually triumphs. Will it be the Donald Trump view of all rhetoric and bluster, or will it be this more nuanced view of taking the diplomatic route to try and solve the North Korean crisis? Is that the one which will prevail? Is something which only the next few weeks and months will tell.